On this exciting episode, it's an alliteration jamboree as Paul, Perry, and the rest of the crew head down to Barney's Bistro, take in a scintillating songstress, and attempt to acquit a misidentified murderer. It's Season 3, Episode 1 of Perry Mason, The Case of the Spurious Sister. Welcome to the Perry Pod. I'm your humble host, Jonathan Searcy. My purpose here is pretty simple: provide an audio companion to the greatest legal drama in television history, Perry Mason. I plan to do a pod for every episode of the television series, and in episodes like this one, I'll take a look at some of those made-for-TV movies too. Each episode, I give a brief refresher of the plot, list some key pieces of trivia, and tackle the episode or movie's main theme. Then I feature a Perry Proverb, a moment of wisdom from the man himself, and finish with a post-case water cooler where, just like Perry, Della, and Paul, we can rehash the ins and outs of their adventures. But first, to the law library. Each episode in the Law Library, we return to prior cases to refresh our memories about Perry's past so we can find fresh precedents for future cases. This episode in the Law Library, we take a closer look at a topic that's been a staple of the first two seasons of Perry Mason: divorce. What we haven't explored: residence in Nevada to get that quickie divorce. Attorney Ralph Hibberly fills us in.
Well, she's establishing legal residence here, and at the end of the required 44 days, we'll file suit for divorce. She wants money right away, and because of this, is willing to accept a cash settlement for $25,000.
44 days, huh? Well, Nevada demands, in reality, that one of the parties live in the state 6 weeks or 42 days before filing divorce. Nevada, starting in the 1930s, offered spouses a wider array of reasons for divorce and aided the quickie part of the split by letting parties be granted a divorce without a hearing or filing delay if the two parties agreed about everything, including the division of property. Apparently, Nevada lowered its residency requirement and expanded its original grounds for divorce in the Depression to make some more cash. Between 1931 and 1970, more than 325,000 divorces were granted in Nevada. But at this point, we're turning the law library into a Paul prompt. Let's just say that the fact that Ralph Hibberly says it takes 44 days of residency to get the divorce lets us know we should be wary of this guy. Now to the plot of our episode. The Case of the Spurious Sister. Bruce Chapman runs an import business. He's headed overseas to get some goods. His wife, Marie, has a problem, though. There's a monster living inside her. Its name, Gambler.
Bruce, you couldn't. You'll be gone at least 6 weeks.
The office will pay your bills, and you'll draw $50 a week for incidentals.
You're treating me like a child.
You are a child where money's concerned. This time, you're not going to take money from our account and gamble it away in Las Vegas.
I won't gamble, Bruce, I promise.
Fine. Then you won't need anything more than I've set up for you.
Well, it appears Bruce doesn't know the whole story. First, it's clear that Marie isn't into the money for herself. She's got someone who needs it. And second, she's got other places to go for cash than old Bruce, baby. There's her former dance partner, Ginny Hobart, but she's broke. Better is Howard Sprague, who turns out to be Marie's divorced first husband. Here's Marie talking with Howard's wife.
Walter doesn't make a very big salary, even $50 every month.
Yes, that's what I'm calling about, Mrs. Sprague. Let's make it $2,000 tonight.
When Mrs. Sprague shows up to give Marie the money, Marie has flown the coop. Cut to an indeterminate amount of time later, and Bruce Chapman's arrival home. Newspapers littered across the front lawn. They tell the tale. No one's at home. In his mail, Bruce discovers divorce papers from Marie. Perry, help!
Are you going to contest the divorce?
No. Don't misunderstand me. It isn't that I don't love Marie very much. But
Did you try to reach her after you received this?
I finally located her at the Caravan Hotel. She wouldn't even take my call.
Perry's gonna get cash to Marie, but quick. But Bruce has bigger problems. Marie is dead? And Bruce knew it the whole time?
I was supposed to be away for at least 6 weeks, but I couldn't stand it. I came home after only 10 days. Perry, you can't imagine how I felt when I found those divorce papers waiting for me. I told myself that I'd been wrong about Marie being dead, that she'd only been unconscious. I told myself that a miracle had happened, that Marie was alive and well.
The case hinges on a woman with sunglasses. Someone who allegedly gulled attorney Ralph Hibberly into believing that she was the real Marie Chapman. Perry has a go with Miss Norwood, Bruce Chapman's doting secretary, trying to discover who the sunglassed woman was.
Would you please put these on?
Why should I?
Why shouldn't you?
Did you bring me all the way down here to check out a theory of yours, Mr. Mason?
I believe you said $150. Well, Mr. Hibberly?
No, sir. This is not the woman who posed as Mrs. Chapman.
That just leaves Jenny Hobart, Marie's dance partner. Here's Paul's rundown on her.
Full name's Jenny Hobart. She's billed as a scintillating songstress and sensational stepper. She's opening tonight at Barney's Bistro in Santa Monica.
Well, Jenny was the woman in sunglasses, but she didn't commit the crime. That would be Ralph Hibberly, shady lawyer extraordinaire.
If you found out that I had handled Marie's divorce from Walter Sprague, then you'd have known that I couldn't possibly have been fooled by the impersonation.
Tell us all about it, Paul and Della.
Marie met Hibberly at the cabin that night. When he found out about your $25,000 settlement offer, he urged her to go through with the divorce. Marie refused. Hibberly told her he wouldn't see her anymore. Marie became angry, vicious, made threats.
It must have shocked her that someone would treat her as she had always treated everybody else.
Oh yeah, don't cry too hard, Bruce. You've always got Miss Norwood in your corner. Now, let's get trivial, shall we? Each episode in our trivia section, I give you 3 takeaways. A Paul is a subject worth investigating more. Adela is something about a particular actor or actress in the episode. And a Perry is something we learn about our intrepid hero. Our Paul prompt for this episode concerns that mean monster gambler. Early in the episode, Bruce tells Marie this.
Please, let me have just $2,000.
Think about it, Marie. I hope you'll see I'm doing the right thing. Gambling's a disease. You've got to fight.
I'm intrigued. Paul prompt. When did people start thinking of a gambling addiction as a disease rather than just a weakness of an individual's will? Get that DSM-5 out and let me know what you find. Our Della for this episode is Marion Marshall, aka scintillating songstress Jenny Hobart.
Honey, you know, I never thought of it, but with your sense of humor, we should have had a comedy routine instead of a sisters dancing it.
Why? Wait until we get through our 10 facts about this gal, and you'll know why I chose her. Number 1, Marion was born in 1929 in Los Angeles. Number 2, she became a model, and Fox Studios was so impressed with what they saw, they sent Marion to drama school for a year. Number 3, before she was 20 years old, she came to the attention of producer Hal Wallace also known as the guy who produced Casablanca, and that meant better parts for Marion. And she had married and divorced Alan Davey Jr., a Hollywood cameraman and son of Oscar-winning cinematographer Alan Davey. Number 4, in 1949, at the age of 20, she appears in I Was a Male War Bride with Cary Grant and Ann Sheridan. She's Ann Sheridan's best gal pal. That film's director, Howard Hawks. Marshall and Hawks became an item and actually got engaged before the relationship fell apart. Number 5, in 1951 and 52, again, tender age at 22 and 23, Marshall appeared in 3 different Martin and Lewis comedies. That's My Boy, Sailor Beware, and The Stooge. Number 6, in 1952, she married and subsequently had 2 children with Stanley Donen, the king of the Hollywood musicals. This is the guy who co-directed On the Town and Singin' in the Rain with Gene Kelly. He also directed 7 Brides for 7 Brothers and It's Always Fair Weather, which was his final film with Gene Kelly. Marshall would have been getting her divorce around the time this 3rd season of Perry began. Now, she and Donen had been separated for a couple years. Donen went on to have 3 more wives and was the life partner of Elaine May for his last 20 years. So these are the sort of people that Marion Marshall ran around with. Number 7, in 1963, the hits keep coming. Marshall married Robert Wagner, who had just divorced Natalie Wood. They had 1 child together, a girl. Marion Marshall had had 2 boys with Stanley Donen. Number 8, she got divorced from Robert Wagner in 1971. Her movie career basically ended in the 1950s. Her television appearances slowed down too in the 1960s. Number 9, she had 1 post-1971 television appearance as a judge on the British drama anthology 6 Days of Justice. Number 10, she died in 2018 at the age of 89 to little fanfare. Couldn't really find anything about her from the 80s, 90s, aughts. Her daughter released the news on Instagram. There was no PR release. That's it. What a life. Marion Marshall. Maybe there's a biography sitting there for someone to write. Our Perry for this episode concerns Perry's cross-examination style. I haven't mentioned Greg Evans yet, a thoroughly unctuous dude who rides a horse around the Chapman cabin and seems shady. Well, when Perry cross-examines him, he brings an interesting prop, a pencil. Take a look, pencil in hand. It gives Perry somewhere to look as he asks Evans uncomfortable questions like these.
How well did you know Mrs. Chapman?
We were friends.
Go horseback riding with her?
Occasionally.
Alone?
Bruce doesn't ride.
Very attractive woman, wasn't she?
Yes, she was quite a woman.
Perry is telling us not to underestimate the power of body language. Perry's more than a legal pencil pusher for sure. He's a pencil spinner. Our theme for this episode is addiction. Hibberly can't quit gambling. Marie can't quit Hibberly. And Perry, well, he can't quit solving crimes. Addiction speaks to a devotion that someone has to a habit or occupation. The fact that one has given oneself up to this habit or occupation. Bad addictions, they lead to death. Good ones, to life. Let's hope Bruce chooses wisely. Hint, Bruce, go for love over work. Now, let's hear a Perry Proverb. You know, Perry's your lawyer, but he's not going to run your life. Bruce Chapman is in a jam. It appears he's got two bad choices. Give Marie $25,000 for a quick divorce, or wait and watch her take him to the legal cleaners for $150,000 when they have to divide community property. So Bruce asks a reasonable question. Perry gives him a proverbial answer.
What did he say?
That she wants the money right now, or she'll withdraw her offer of settlement.
What should I do?
I'm afraid that's up to you.
Perry is only going to step in for you when all your choices are gone. When you're behind bars, you've got no choice. Then Perry will speak for you. But before then, Perry won't let you off the hook. You have to make your own decisions. Now, let's grab a swig from the water cooler.
Now, there is one thing I don't understand.
Go on, Paul.
Each episode in the water cooler, we offer deleted scenes where we imagine the scenes that didn't make the episode's final cut. Number 1, we sit there while Miss Norwood goes through all 70 of Bruce Chapman's backlogged import orders. Tortuous. Number 2, Mrs. Sprague has a parade of Miss Trivia phone contest questions. Marie Antoinette, the Nina, the Pinta, and Santa Maria. The fact that penguins live in the North, not the South Pole. The capital of Alabama. It's just a carnival of factoid failure. Number 3, a short tour with Jenny Hobart of LA's alliterative night spots. Carol's Cafe, Dick's Diner, Evelyn's Eatery, Frank's Funhouse, Harry's Hamburgers, Jim's Juke Joint, Iris's Icebox. Come on, LA, get those alliterative restaurants and nightclub entertainment names cracking. Number 4, Bruce Chapman gets a letter in his mail that he's getting fined by the HOA for having all those papers in the front yard. They're an eyesore, Bruce. Have somebody take care of your lawn while you're gone. Number 5, Perry tries out various writing instruments in his office to hold while examining Greg Evans. There's a fountain pen, a Sharpie, a crayon, a colored marker, but he settles on the pencil. That was the right choice. I love it. For the first time, we've had a listener send in suggestions for deleted scenes. Listener Tim Cree added 3 more to our mix. He said we should have a scene with Lieutenant Tragg taking horseback riding lessons. Lip-smackingly great. Number 7, the one that made me laugh the most, is Ralph Hibberly at police headquarters, just totally boning police lineup after police lineup, and then looking in the mirror and not being able to correctly identify his own reflection, which is hilarious to me. And then number 8, Marie Chapman in a flashback hustling crap games in the alley behind the local community college, which does prompt the question, how did Marie end up with Howard Sprague in the first place? Didn't get a backstory on that. Any case, really appreciated that. Thank you. Our Paul from last episode, the TV movie The Case of the Lady in the Lake, concerned tennis and rotator cuffs. I asked, has there been a famous tennis player sidelined by rotator cuff surgery? Aunt Myra was on the case and discovered that Wimbledon winner Maria Sharapova had surgery to repair her torn rotator cuff and subsequently recovered to win the French Open twice in 2012 and 2014. I will note that she never again was able to win majors on the faster surfaces, grass or hard courts, where she had dominated earlier in her career. As always, I'd love feedback about this particular episode of the podcast in general. Was there something you'd like to comment on or correct? Send an email to me at theperrypod@gmail.com. All of our episodes are available via Spotify, YouTube, and iTunes. Please join us next week, when Fay Ray joins the fray and does her own Gloria Swan song for the small screen. Sunset Boulevard it's not, but we do the best with what we've got. It's the case of the watery witness. Join us, won't you? Until then, this is Jonathan Searcy saying, keep on walking that Park Avenue beat.